Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani and welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism, and every so often a place where we take on the Am I the Asshole? I take these on because I don't know if these people are narcissistic or not. We don't get enough of the story, but these patterns are definitely toxic. Sometimes seeing these patterns embedded in real people's real stories can give us a sense of some of the patterns we run into and kind of get an opinion on whether these patterns are healthy or not, by at least putting in our vote on whether or not this person's an asshole. This one's a doozy. It starts with, am I the asshole for yelling at my husband and telling him to get over himself after he threw away my tampon box? And no, folks, it wasn't empty. We, the lady writing this is 27, the husband's 30, have been together for 3 years and married for 2 months. So these are newlyweds. So here's the thing. I used to use pads for my periods, but recently was able to start using tampons. I have medical problems. In comparison, tampons work 10 times better for me, especially when I'm outside, say, like at work or traveling. My husband hates them. He never truly gave a reason other than just to say he doesn't feel comfortable with me using them. I didn't think it was a big deal at first, since he says he hates a lot of stuff I do, but puts up with it anyway, except for this. They've only been married for 2 months, and he hates a lot of stuff that this woman does. That's such a not good thing. That's a very controlling dynamic when a person is saying, I don't like this thing you do, I don't like this thing you do. He asked that I go back to using pads, but I made it clear that since it's my body, that I get to decide. It is very controlling when somebody weighs in on, for example, how a person dresses, how a person does their face or fix their hair, or those are control dynamics that really are massive red flags. And this one's a whole new level of the types of feminine hygiene products one uses. He threw away some tampons he had access to, and I was getting upset, but to keep the peace, again, the standard appeasing in a toxic relationship, I just bought a box and hid it away from him. He somehow found it and threw it away. So, and there's also this destruction of someone else's stuff, the lack of boundaries, the intrusiveness. He's also very entitled, that sense of, well, I don't like this, and I've told you you can't do it, so now I'm going to throw your tampons away. I didn't find that out, that he had thrown them away, until I had my period yesterday and realized I had no tampons to use, which, as any woman will tell you, is not pretty. I was tired and too stressed. I just yelled at him after he admitted to throwing away the whole box. He argued that I already knew how he felt about this stuff, and yet I decided to still keep it around. I lost it and told him he had no right to do this and told him to get over himself already. He stared at me, almost about to tear up or something, and then walked out. He later went on about how we as a couple should take each other's discomfort into consideration, and said he already tried to speak to me about those tampons, yet I brushed him off and insulted him and verbally abused him. This woman never makes known what this dude's rationalization is for her not using tampons. Like, it is almost medieval that this would be a thing. Like, and if he feels threatened by a tampon, I feel bad for her if that's how he's coming at this anatomically, because damn. He later went on to about how we as a couple should take each other's discomfort into consideration, and said he already tried to speak to me about those tampons, yet I brushed him off and insulted him and verbally abused him. So no conversation about him throwing her things away, but him being verbally abused. He also said that if I still insist on using them, then I should do it while I'm outside the house, but I said that it won't happen. I feel bad for how it played out, but I was just at my wit's end and I'm in so much pain I lashed out. Did I go too far here? Does he have a valid point or not? So not valid. I mean, the level of entitlement, arrogance, poor boundaries, lack of empathy, lack of self-reflection. I mean, it's galling, right? But there's also a dynamic here, again, of control, whether it's coercive control. We don't know enough else that's happening in this relationship. But the sense that somebody could weigh in on something that is so intimate and so personal as feminine hygiene is absolutely astonishing. But what's most troubling about this is the gaslighting. He threw away her things and all of that, and she then has a very normal reaction. She reacts and says, what have you done? You've thrown away my stuff. I need it. And then he makes it about how she verbally abused him. That's the gaslight. I can imagine this is not the only thing this person is gaslighting her about, because he's already saying there's so many things about her he doesn't like. Why the hell did you marry her then? You knew this stuff. You were together for 3 years. The self-doubt that this is instilled in her, though, that the sense that, was I wrong to have a real emotion when somebody is throwing away something I sort of need for my bodily functioning, that is troubling. You know, it's an interesting kind of a dynamic sort of sociopolitically, because even just the whole idea of menstrual periods and how women interact with that and sort of a lot of the emotion and politics around that is actually a pretty sort of heavy area. And it's and it raises up themes sort of globally. There's actually a Oscar-winning film on this, and around the world, actually, some women are actually at danger at the time of the month when they're having their period. So for this guy to be this controlling about it in a part of the world that's not like that is very, very concerning. This kind of control over daily functions is always a toxic dynamic. This ain't a red flag. This is like a red, like this is like a red airplane runway. Like it is such, it's beyond a warning sign. It is just bad, and it is toxic. But what's more concerning, and it comes up all the times in these am I the asshole sorts of reflections, is did I do something wrong? So what these toxic relationships do over time is they leave people wondering, I'm having a reaction, and I must have reacted wrong, because the toxic person so quickly comes back with, how could you be? How could you be so angry? Because this is wacky. And again, we do not know this person's reason for it, but whatever it is, it can't be right. Okay, it is not a normal thing to not want a person to do. And whatever the explanation is, it has not been offered here. So if there was a reasonable explanation, it seems like this person would have shared it so we could have some sense of it. But the idea of throwing away someone's stuff, they've communicated with you and saying this is important to them, it's personal to them, and that this person handles it not by talking about it, but by throwing it out. That is very much a dominance move that's meant to say that what you have to say, you are not important. So not only is this person not an asshole, I would honestly say they're in a bit of trouble. I don't see how something like this could last. This is not a small thing. Someone stopping you from doing what you need to do. Again, the level of entitlement, the level of arrogance, the level of dominance and control. That dynamic is never going to work in an intimate relationship. And the concern then becomes escalation. If it's here, how many more things is this person going to try to control, which ultimately for a person is not good for them, their physical health or their mental health. So, sweetie, I'd say keep the tampons, lose the dude. Good luck with that.